Welcome to Red Chameleon. If you like the video, please smash the like button. Today's Askreddit question is, what's a small act of kindness you were once shown that you'll never forget? Let's get started. Neighbor asked to borrow my truck. Told him I could not trust my truck because the tires were bad. Next day, Mr. Neighbor called and said he was getting new tires for his Suburban and I could have his old ones. Told me to just show up at this certain tire shop and they would put them on. Get to the tire shop and they put on brand new Goodyear tires. I asked what happened to the old tires I was supposed to receive. Shop owner said the old tires was just a story to get me in the shop. Mr. Neighbor bought me a full set of new tires instead of the old tires. I guess they can't borrow the truck anytime after that. I was given access to a shower and a hot meal after being homeless for 9 months. Riding my bike on a long trip through Canada, with about 50 miles to go, I had a major mechanical failure, stuck on the side of the road in a foreign country within 5 minutes. At least 10 cars had stopped to check on me. One guy loaded my bike in the back of his truck and drove me 30 miles to the border where I could catch a ferry back to the US. Amazing kindness and generosity toward a stranger. He just asked that I pay it forward. And to date I've helped 5 cyclists who were broken down in honor of that promise. I was 9 years old, waiting for the school bus in Wisconsin winter. I had a thin coat, no hat or gloves. A woman driving past saw me and stopped, giving me a blanket from the back of her car. It was a long skinny one, so she wrapped it around my head and shoulders like a big scarf. I remember thanking her but being confused. I told her I didn't know how I would give it back when I was done borrowing it. She hugged me and said not to worry. I still have that blanket. I had a coworker about 10 years ago. We became work friends, but he was moving to another state. So on his last day, he brought and gave me an iPod Nano. Back when they were fairly new, completely filled with different music that we had talked about or listened to together. No one had ever done something that thoughtful for me before. I could have cried. If you're out there, Gabe, that's something that I will always remember. My gym teacher purchased me lunch in 3rd grade after I dropped mine. I'm 34 years old and still remember this. When I was younger at 19, I lost my wallet and someone used my license to rack up tickets. It was pretty obvious once courts looked at the location of the tickets and what vehicle was used, the signature, that it wasn't me. I had to go to around 3 courts clearing it up. The 3rd judge was the only one with a problem. He said I had failures to appear since the tickets were ignored. I explained what was happening and how I've been dealing with this, and I came in as soon as I was made aware of the issue. He wanted to put me in jail because he didn't trust I'd be back. He wouldn't look at my paperwork because it was an arraignment. He would only look at it during the trial date. I didn't know what to do, but I had the name of the public defender memorized. I asked if I could talk with her first. He called her in and said, "This young man seems to know you." I quickly explained what was happening and showed her my evidence. She told the judge that if he didn't release me to come back, she'd pay my bail out of her own pocket. He scorned me but released me. I just had to return the next month during the trial date. I was 19 then, 39 now. I took my sister, who was in a wheelchair, to the cinema for the first time on my own. In the end, I realized I couldn't undo the brakes and was blocking everyone. I felt like crying because I thought everyone was pissed at me. But some nice lady helped me, then took me and my sister out. She said she once had a son who needed a wheelchair. This was long ago, but I'll never forget. I was out of a job at a time that I had to support my mother. Finally landed one, but I had to walk back and forth. And I didn't have any shoes that would hold up on the walk or the work. I went to FB and Mom asked around for some hand-me-downs we could buy from someone. A day later, a very kind man showed up with a brand new pair of really nice shoes he had just gone out and bought for me. He left before I could even get any money for him. I cried. At work, I was complaining about heartburn once. I was still pretty new to the job. Didn't really have any work friends. Felt like an outsider. My life outside of work was pretty bad as well. The bartender on shift overheard me and ran to a nearby coffee shop to get me chocolate milk. It definitely made the heartburn go away, but it was such a needlessly kind act. I don't think I'll ever forget it. 2 years later, we're still friends, and she is definitely one of the kindest people I've ever met. Wow, last part made me smile. That's so lovely to hear. Some people are just so lovely, aren't they? I literally coasted into a gas station out of gas on my motorcycle, then realized I didn't have my wallet. Some lady saw me patting all my pockets and then that I was upset and offered to fill up my tank. I only let her put $5 in, which on a bike is a lot, but it meant so much to me. I have 2 moments that I'll never forget. When I was younger, my mom was depressed, and we had very little money. It was either heating or eating a lot. An old lady around the corner from us would invite us over for tea sometimes or breakfast before school. She knitted me, my baby sister, and my mom cardigans, socks, and a blanket each winter when it was really bad. I was at a terrible time of my life at 17, had a bad day at work, and then my train home was 1 hour plus late. I just started crying at the train station and was really wondering if it was all worth it. A woman just held me for a bit while I cried. She was a complete stranger. I've never seen her since, but I needed her, I guess. I think she saved my life that day. I hope you and your mom are all doing much better these days.